This month's Twilight trending teen flick is the aptly named Divergent.
Let me get this straight. It's about this girl called Stiffy who diverges, making her a divergent. But other divergents make her hide her divergentness, therefore actually converging until the non-divergers make her diverge with the other divergents to say both divergents and non-divergents.
Yep.
And you say this is a kid's book?
Well, teenage, but yes.
At times you could tell it was a teen book, as there isn't much sexual content. I mean, the main character looks okay, but is pretty bland. Not saying I wouldn't, she just isn't Jennifer Lawrence. You kind of get to see her bra, and there was this implied shagging, but I missed it because I had to go for a piss.
May I stop you there? Because you talked about the obviousness that it was a tween film. Now, if one were to be using the French theory of autorism,
Which we're not,
then it's arguable that the author is not the director, or screenwriter, or even the actors, but the genre and the studio. There's always something that makes these god-awful tween films notable for this typical formula, and it is thus: a female protagonist, annoying narration, a grey home with a colourful outer world.
Yeah, I hope they explore that in the sequel, with the rumoured monsters and such.
Also, there's always an unexplained melancholia, with lousy exposition and American high school metaphors. I could go on.
What I think he's saying is that we don't like tween films.
Most teen films, Harry Potter and Hunger Games being the exception.
So here's my theory on tween movies. The more fit the female lead, the less shit the film. Now hear me out here. Hunger Games, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, I know. Whereas Twilight only has that Kristen Stewart bitch, whose tits I did see in that different movie.
And what about the male leads?
Who gives a fuck about them?
Well, yeah.
And for that reason, I'm giving this movie 5 out of 10. I mean, Triss is okay, but just okay.
On a viewpoint with more legitimate criticisms, 6 out of 10. Miles Teller in the action scenes with the bizarre arms-crossed fighting style redeemed it? Just a little.
One last thing. If the government were having problems with divergents being factionless, why not just make a whole new faction called Divergent? At that rate, they could be controlled by the man rather than being seen as a threat. What separates them from the rest was their ability to handle fear, which could be useful as the policing faction, more so than the Dauntless, who were too cocky to be responsible for the public's welfare.
Uh-huh. If you made it this far through the video, maybe you're the sort of idiot who would subscribe. Click that button and we'll just keep bugging you with our opinions, man.